Welcome, Natalie. Thank you so much for coming on Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I read Fables to my kids. They were obsessed. They loved it. And I don't say that all the time. I have lots of children's books, and sometimes, your kids just like relate to ones or they don't. And my daughter was like, "You're talking to the woman who wrote the new Three Little Pigs." So they thought that was the coolest.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Sure. So what inspired you to write Fables, to reimagine some of these classic fairy tales from our youth and do them over? What was that about?
Well, I was reading books to my kids, and I have a boy and a girl, and I realized that, first of all, for my girl, the kinds of presents she would get, the kind of books that were given to her were very, were often like feminist kind of baby books. And I was like, why didn't my son get any of these? Like no one, I was like, the boys need it as much as the girls. So I felt like, oh, I want something that's going to be everyone will read. And the classic books that I had been reading, both of them, of course, I started noticing that all of the characters, or predominantly, were male. And so I thought, oh my goodness, well, the books that both of them are reading are telling them to prioritize male character stories over other stories. And so I thought, what if I took some of these classics and just made it more reflective of the world? Where there's lots of genders in the in the animal kingdom, and let the stories that are still morally resonant, the kind of um, the morals that really resonate today still, like the tortoise and the hare and the three little pigs and the country mouse and the city mouse. Those could still hold up and even have new meaning in today's world.
So now the bad guys are actually bad women. Is that really a good message? I don't know. Like, the wolf is a woman. Are we happy to be including her in our clan here? What do you think?
I think that the more women are seen as human and capable of anything, capable of being good or bad, capable of being smart or not smart, or strong or lazy, like the more possibility women have to just be human and be seen as human first and judged by their character, their virtue, their accomplishments, not by their gender, that's where we reach equality. So of course, I mean, it's like the RBG quote of like putting women on a pedestal is just another kind of cage. Paraphrasing, of course, that's not the exact quote, but when people say, "Oh, women are much better than men," or that's another harmful stereotype, even like masquerading as a compliment.
Very true. I feel like throughout your Instagram, you've done such a good job of trying to highlight all different types of women in all different areas and talking about the things that are really important, like everything from Serena Williams and why are there not as many women tennis matches per day than men's tennis matches, to different political candidates, to homeschooling, everything. You're just like digging deeper and deeper into every industry. Like, it's not about authors. It's about like really critical thinkers. So tell me about how you started doing this whole interview series as well.
Well, I just started, I mean, it's really, I've just been led by curiosity, I guess. And in the things I'm interested in, I thought if I have this way of talking to people directly, then I might as well talk about what I'm curious about, learn things, and share what I'm learning, or the people I'm lucky enough to meet. And so whether it's about food, which is super interesting to me, and obviously, of course, the environmental impact of food is really interesting, but making it delicious and fun at the same time, or whether it's writers, because I love reading and it's such a great opportunity to get to discuss books with writers after you read them. It's like the coolest opportunity. Or activists from whom, like, I feel like the big change for me on going on social media was like it opened up my understanding of the world in such a new way, and I was exposed to so many incredible people doing so much really like world changing, world bettering work. So that's been really wonderful too as an opportunity. And yeah, it's been really interesting.
I feel like social media obviously gets a bad rep, but I feel like I've met people from all over the world. Like I can talk to an author in Nigeria about how they're handling COVID, and I can talk to someone in LA. Like there are no barriers anymore, and you can connect with people anywhere. It's really, I think it's one of the biggest perks. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's all how it's used, it seems. And also it is, of course, it can be very addictive. It can be very like, living in a virtual state as opposed to like the real life state. But I think, if you're able to use it in moderation, it certainly is an incredible like portal into so many different places we wouldn't normally have access to.
And back to your cooking, by the way, because now I'm like feeling totally shamed. Like, not only do you have like your whole professional life, but now, and all these great, activist thought
Oh,
leadership type interviews, and you're like cooking all these amazing foods too. Like, my husband
oh,
cooks, and that's fine. I'm like,
don't.
matzo lasagna, that looks amazing.
Oh my God, you're so sweet, but please, not at all. Like my husband is really the cook in the house. He really cooks well. And I'm very amateur, but like I really like it. But I think that for me, why I like sharing it is because I'm not very skilled. So I know if I can do it, like anyone can do it. And I'm usually doing it in like 15 minutes, like holding a child in my hand. So I'm like, okay, like this recipe you can do. Like if I can do it, you can do it. Like it's not complicated. And I feel like those are the kind of mom things we need to share with each other because like that's how we get by. It's those like tips that we spread from mom to mom.
It's true. The whole like whisper culture of this is how we do it. Yes, I'm upheld by comments like those and little tips.
Yeah.
The messages in Fables, though, go sort of beyond typical kids' books, I would say. Typical, like you have so many things. And I feel like, I don't know if you intentionally put in like all your values and just like shove them in a little children's book. If you like started with the values and you're like, how can I fit these in? Oh, wait a minute. But there were so many things like, see, you don't need all that stuff. True friends are more than enough. And you have all these things like sometimes more isn't better. A bragger cannot persevere. A life lived attentively is the completest. To have strong foundations, you cannot be lazy. Waking up early is an energy booster. You want to have friends who will stand by your side. Like I could be like reading a quote book, at the checkout line with like, little flowers or something. But instead they're interspersed in the book. It's like very clever how you did it.
Thank you. That's really nice. Well, I think, when you have a clear audience, and here it was like for my children, like I was like, what do I want to give them in tangible form of like what I think is important? And so, I mean, it's not all in there, but certainly there's a lot that I care about that I wanted to give to them. And secondly, I find that reading books to kids, it's kind of the only time I read books over and over and over again, where I'll read because my kids both have had favorites over the years. And they make me read a book 100 times in a row. And so it really gets into you. And as a parent, like you kind of want that to be meaningful. And so there's certain things I feel like I even wrote for myself, like in The Tortoise and the Hare, that it was like, honey moves slowly, but it is the sweetest. A life lived attentively is the completest. Because it's like the attention, it's so noisy, it's so busy, you're running around all the time. And then like, that when you really pay attention, when you really like focus, when you really spend time, when you take things slowly, is like a true expression of love and meaning. Like that's where you're like most fulfillment. And so it felt like both for them and also for myself. I was like, what do I need to remember? And also what do I want to like imbue in my children?
And so I know in the back of the book, you included a portrait that your mom had done of you and your brother's kids. I think it's so sweet. And you have this whole big shout out to her.
That's my kids.
Oh, that's your kids.
That's my kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's my son and my daughter that she drew.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah.
So tell me about like what did she do right? What do you think like she did in her parenting to you that gave you the values that you're now passing on to your kids? Or maybe not, maybe it's like a reaction against, but
Yeah, she's just the most attentive and the most focused with kids and the most like, I mean, she was like that with me, and I'm an only child, and then she's like that with my children now. Like, you know, you couldn't even imagine, like, I feel like I'm constantly running through lists of stuff that I have to do, and like trying to like fold laundry and cook dinner and like get the kids homework at like done at the same time, like I mean, not get their homework
I
done,
can imagine. I can
supervise
imagine.
them
Yes.
doing it. I
Yes.
mean, him. I only have one kid doing homework right now. Is my little one is in preschool, but really it's definitely like I feel so scattered as a mother. Like I feel like that's like the central characteristic. And my mother, I always felt that she was just so focused and present and attentive and like, yeah. So I try and like conjure her energy, which I don't have. I'm more all over the place.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And sometimes even when I'm with my mom, like she'll be, on her phone or something. And I'm like, I feel so hurt. It's so silly, right? I'm like 44 years old and I'm like, but we only had like an hour together. Why are you on your phone? Like, what are you doing? What is so important? And I think it's the same thing. It's like this like, let someone occupy 100% of what you're doing. Right. And that's what like great conversation is about, right? You just pay attention, and I don't know, there's just nothing like it. And when you don't feel like you're
Yeah.
necessarily getting that, and I try to remind myself of that when I'm with my kids, like, how do I feel when my mom seems distracted? And here I am like, so
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my husband always says it to me that like the phone, these like smartphones were supposed to make our lives like so we could have more free time because, you could like kind of be portable and like whatever. But then instead, it just makes us like work all the time. It makes us like half working all the time, half on our phones all the time, half not present all the time. And so it's really, I think it's like kind of one of the biggest challenges of modern parenthood, among the other, 7,000 things.
yeah, let's pick. I know
Yeah,
every so
exactly.
often I'm like, maybe I'll just try to email on a computer today. Like, let's see how that works.
It's actually really good. I've done that a few times where I've taken breaks and just take an email off of my phone, and it actually makes a huge
Yeah,
difference.
you can be so much more productive on a computer with like an hour than all day long these like little dribble drabbles of emails that never
Oh,
stop. But not that I
totally.
will change my behavior, but And tell me about this new LA women's soccer team. What is that about? That's so awesome.
Yeah, we're so excited. So, Angel City Football Club is our official name, and we're launching in 2022. That's when we'll start playing games. And it's just really thrilling to bring women's soccer to LA. There's two men's soccer teams. Um, and we have such incredible players in this country. We have like really the best players in the world in the most popular sport in the world, and it's super exciting to get to celebrate them and amplify their virtuosity because they're extraordinary. So it's really fun. It's an incredible group of people doing it. It's Alexis Ohanian and Serena Williams and a bunch of actress friends I adore. Jess Chastain, America Ferrera, Eva Longoria, Uzua Duba, and just countless others. And it's been and like sports legends like Billie Jean King and Lindsey Vonn and 14 former women's national team players like Mia Hamm and Julie Foudy and Abby Wambach. It's just like insane group of people. It's so exciting.
So you all like get a box and you can hang out every game. That's
That's
how
the
it's gonna be.
goal. We just need to get through this pandemic, and then we can all hang, hopefully.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I was chit-chatting with my husband as I was coming down here, and I was mentioning your soccer team, and my daughter, who we were putting to bed, was like, wait, women have soccer teams? And I was like, yeah, women can have soccer teams. She's like, can women have football teams? And I was like, no, not football. And she's like, okay, basketball? And I was like, yeah, like we watch so much sports here. I don't, my husband does, but I don't know. Somehow that was like really inspiring. She's a great little athlete. So anyway, you're
Yeah,
setting
no, it's
role modeling.
amazing for our girls to have professional careers to aspire to if they are, extraordinary athletes, to have athletes to look up to and admire. And also for boys, it's the same thing we're talking about with the book. It really had kind of similar impetus that I was inspired to have the soccer team when I saw my son watching the Women's World Cup, and he was looking at, you know, Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe in the same way that he looks at Messi or Ronaldo, and I was like, that's change. That really feels like a completely new world. Because I mean, how many male athletes did we look up to as little girls, right? It's like,
I have like a secret sort of, girl crush on Chrissy Everett, I have to say, the
oh,
tennis player.
amazing,
But
totally.
everybody else I feel like is a blur of men, but she was my childhood hero.
Yeah, I mean, we also had, female athletes that we looked up to, but I think women are often asked to empath- empathize with or see themselves in men. And I think a world would be wonderful. I don't mind that. I think it just also should be that young boys see idols in women too, that they don't just um, have to look at greatness in male form.
100%. Totally agree. And speaking of idols, tell me a little bit about Natalie's book club and the books that you've been picking and how that's been going and all the rest.
It's been so fun to get to share and hear people's opinions about books, and yeah, and it's brought me to so many interesting corners. I'm kind of an eclectic reader, so I'm not. I don't have like a genre that people can like, you know, uh, rely upon. So I hope that is okay for people following, because sometimes it's fiction, sometimes it's nonfiction, sometimes it's poetry or and it's been really interesting to get to talk to all these different writers and understand more about their processes, and of course read some great books along the way.
Are you reading anything great now? Anything amazing by your bedside?
Um, I I finally read Untamed, which I know I'm so late to the game. So many people have told me how wonderful it was, and they were all right. Like, it's so rare when something lives up to the hype, and it really did. I really loved the book club books that I've really like have stuck with me in such a deep way. I would say The Lost Children Archives, the Valeria Luiselli book, is amazing. Like, that's like really, really affected me deeply. Um, Girl, Woman, Other was incredible. The new Eleanor Ferranti, and I'm picking all fiction books. But then some surprises too, like the Robin Wall Kimmerer book, Gathering Moss, was like, I was wrapped. It was so incredible. And Patrice Cullors' memoir is When They Call You a Terrorist is really, really moving and world changing. Like, completely changes the way you see the world through one person's story. It's really a wonderful book. Um, yeah, I mean, so many. Everyone has been an incredible adventure.
I have a whole new stack of books now. I have to like make a new little shelf here for you.
Yeah. What
For,
are you? What about you? What are you reading?
I recently read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, which like Untamed, like everybody had already read, and I was so late to it, and I was like almost didn't want to read it because I'm like, it can't possibly be this good. And then it was. I was like,
Yeah.
how great is that? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't even know, lots of different books. I'm reading a new book coming out called The Push by Ashley Audrain, about a mother who's sort of been a victim of abuse sort of through the generations, right? Like her mother, grandmother, and how she mothers. But it's like a thriller. I don't know. It's It's really good. That's what I'm reading right now. And Fables, right? So
Yes, I know. I'm constantly reading a whole variety of children's books.
Yes, we just finished Lady Pancake and Sir French Toast. That's really what I'm reading. I was reading that.
That
That's a really good
sounds
one.
good.
Really good
I
one.
don't know that one.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
that's good. So do you have any advice, I would say both to aspiring authors and especially children's authors, but also just people who want to emulate your activism and how to make a difference in terms of advocating for women, especially in getting equal footing?
So for books, I mean, I I think it's really for kids books. You just have to imagine and maybe practice with kids what keeps their attention. I know I need to mention like farts and burp and like boogers, like anything that's what keeps my children attention. Uh to I don't know, not that you have to do that, but I think that the silliness always helps with the kids' books and practicing on them. Like I definitely read them the books so many times to find what the parts I needed to change, what they understood, etc. In terms of activism, and I feel like what I've learned the most is to listen to the people who've been doing the work and follow them, and like find, like, not trying to invent anything yourself. Like find the people who are because there are a lot of people who are doing it really well. Not to put anyone down, like obviously if you want to devote your life to it, go do it. But the thing I think is, like, when you're new to it, the best thing to do is find the people who've been doing it for decades, who've been organizing, who've been leading, and then listen to what they say and go with them. I mean, when you believe in
Well, right.
their in what they're doing and their actions. But that's been, I've learned the most, yeah, by listening. I guess that's always true.
Can I ask one last, perhaps inappropriate question? How do you stay looking so young? Like you do not age. And
Are
I
you
feel like,
kidding me?
no, it's
So
true.
nice.
I'm just like looking at your skin. This is like so creepy of me, but I'm just like,
Oh
what is she doing that I am not doing? I don't.
Because all I do is go like, look at all these, like, I have like lines everywhere every day, new ones. But I'm like trying to just embrace it and like feel like I earned it. Like, I don't know. My best friend and I were like talking last night. We're both turning 40 this year, and she was like, 40. And I was like, no, 40, like that's like an achievement. Like, you know how many people like don't get to reach this? Like, how lucky are we, and how cool is this? And look what we did to get here, and like this is amazing. And it's, I don't know.
Did that work?
I feel like, I don't want to look inexperienced. I'm not inexperienced. I am full of experience. I am full of joy and wisdom and curiosity. And if that's what, my lines represent, then like, great. Let that be a signal.
Awesome.
And I think, I don't know. I think, yeah, youth looking young is overrated.
Thank you. That was just what I needed to hear tonight. So thank you for that. Yes. Looking young is overrated. Wasted on the young. Yeah, forget it.
No, let them enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's the best part about being young. You don't know anything at that point. So like, I don't know, being young was like so painful for me. Like, I feel like it's such like a painful, not knowing, searching, figuring it out, feeling uncomfortable in my own skin time. Like, it's like, give them the clear skin.
That's true.
They can have it. It's the bonus prize for having to deal with
all no clue what's coming next. Yeah. Nothing being settled at all. And every day is a question mark. Now we have everything settled. and here
Exactly.
come the lines. So fun. Or for me.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Exactly.
awesome. Well, Natalie, thank you so much. Thanks for all your time. And I
Thank
really appreciate it. That was really fun. So
Thank you. You too. And be well. I hope everything.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.